Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our Human Design Talks. I am with Adrienne once again, which is super beautiful. I was excited to wake up this morning and knowing I will meet you. And yeah, we are here again. And today I felt like as we both manifestors and we both invested money, time, energy in being educated through human design and going through that journeys, and we both provide services to other people and courses and whatever you need. I felt like talking about that, about the journey that we had until now. It's been 6 years, 7 years. I mean, we're quite a while in this journey. And it's nice to look back and to see, okay, where did I start? What did I do? How did I get my education? Who were the people that supported me? How did I take those decisions? Because investing this amount of money and this crazy journey and then receiving, I don't know, support, guidance from people you never met can be kind of crazy. But for me, I know it worked for sure. So maybe other people all over the world feel different. And I want us to talk about it. I want us to open up our journey and maybe it will benefit others.
For sure. Yeah, and it's really interesting because when you talk about this expanse of time that we've even been in contact with one another, it's been a long time now. It's really been quite a few years. And so first off, I'll say that the way I found out about human design was through a personal relationship, just a friend who mentioned human design to me. So understanding that the first initial way that someone might come into contact with human design might be quite casual, as in someone who really doesn't have enough information to pass on anything other than, hey, there's something out here that's really fascinating. It's called human design and you need to go look into it. So like the journey for me, that's how it began. And then it was really interesting. My first I would almost say like a study buddy was another manifester. She had known of human design for a couple years before I did, but she hadn't really done much experimenting. And the person that we both learned about human design from, I mean, I just hate to say it this way, but he was just all wrong. He was everything he thought, everything he was saying, it was just ridiculous. And I remember years later going up to him. I was leaving town and we were at a community gathering, and I handed him a stack of my human design books, which I went back and got later. I was like, I loaned them to him. I'm like, you need to read these because you need to understand that what you're actually saying is so wrong and incorrect that you could be, spinning people out into a really bad direction. So one, understanding that the integrity of the information that you get is important. It is truly important. Integrity. So the integrity, what does that mean? To me, integrity with human design means that you're staying as close to the source as possible. I don't mind when people riff or kind of grow theories and things from the original resources, but it's almost like artists. My daughter's an artist. People see abstract art and they say, oh, I can do that. I can put paint on a canvas. But those people are classically trained artists. And what you don't know and what you don't see is that they have gone through the rigors of having to do fine art and to do the technical stuff. So when they go off and do something that's a spin-off, trust me, them throwing paint on the canvas and you throwing paint on the canvas is going to be not the same. It's not going to be good. Theirs is going to sell for more and yours is not, because they went through the rigors of the technical training. So the first place for me to start was I bought books. So I remember this is, of course, so many years ago, and the internet looks so much different now than it did when you talk about human design. Right now, there's all sorts of free blog posts and, there's free video content. There's a lot of free information out there. But 7 years ago, there was not. And so I found one website that was so ultra complete, but something happened like not too long after I found it. It was the Rave ABC course, online, free and complete. I don't know if the person ran out of money for hosting or what happened, but it disappeared. So I ended up buying books I did buy the Karen Curry Parker book. And that book at the time was good for me because it was a good introduction since I didn't know anything. That ABC course, I got halfway through it, which was really sad, and it disappeared. And I was like, oh no. And I really couldn't, it was so hard to locate someone else teaching it. It was a real trip. I did go to the IHDS, which I have so much respect for that institution because they are keeping the knowledge intact. But it was out of my price range, and I didn't understand the value of why I would pay for any of these courses. I think that was part of the thing. I didn't know why I would pay for education with them. And I was kind of set adrift. So I did, I bought the Karen Curry Parker book. I did buy a few publications from Jovian Archive, IHDS, and they were really expensive books. I'm about to buy this $150 book for something I don't even understand or know, but I did. And then the other thing that I did was I got into community with other people who just so happened to, many of them have some of the source materials. So I won't reveal my sources, but I was able to get my hands on a lot of that stuff as well. So I'm a 1-3 ego manifester. I wanted this knowledge. And so with my desire alone, apparently, with this, the vibration of I want and I will have it, it came. But that just kind of made a new dilemma because holy smokes, there's a lot to human design. If you're going to study the whole entire system, it's a lot. And I get wrapped up in that. Like my mind loves learning. I'm 1-3. I mean, you just put me in a room full of books. I'm just like, it's like I'm eating like someone who's overeating, except it's me and books. And I found myself wrapped so far into the knowledge that I was forgetting to experiment. So after you run headlong into all of this information, the thing that I know about the journey is don't forget to try some stuff out. And so I had been stuffing so much stuff into my head for so long. And then it came to me. I was working with my good friend. Her name is Makiba Ellington. She's my best friend, and she's also a manifester. And I was like, we need to experiment. And she's like, okay, well, where do we start? We started studying together. That was another thing. Having a study buddy or someone to dialogue with, have connection with over the night. Because that way you can sharpen the knowledge, but you can also exchange ideas about how to experiment. And that's what we did. And that to me is when things began to unfold more in the journey, was when I introduced, when you read about human design, it's a great experiment. People don't even know how to experiment. And I think that is like how to experiment even in their regular lives. Like a lot of times we are not trained to be the scientists of our lives, right? To observe, to create some theories, to test a theory, to go back and, retest. Can we recreate? We don't do that as much. Sometimes we are going through life quite unconsciously, not very mindful, and therefore we never get to gather enough inputs that we can interact with. And that's, to me, is what experimentation is.
Wow. Very interesting. And while you talk, I was like, wow, so different from my own journey. So different from, and it's funny to see the profiles and to see how life takes us different in different directions. But I know we have similar views, and we're going to get them regarding frequency and interaction and initiation with a live person. So I'm going to talk about my own journey and see where we meet there in the middle. That I found my own teacher online, and I paid quite a lot for each 2-hour, 1.5 sessions, because as again, you say, I found a lot of information and I felt like it's too messy for me. I'm a second line. I don't have the energy to investigate. I'm like, I needed to have everything in order so I can just try it out. But I don't I always have the fear of like wasting time and energy. As an undefined sacral, now I know. And I just want to flow as a second line and have my own experience with the 35-36. So I said, instead of running around and begging for, give me a piece of this, give me a comment, give me an insight, I wanted the whole package. And I also felt like I needed to feel the frequency of the person that is speaking regarding knowledge, regarding experience, that I need to feel in my own body that this is accurate. That also have a 6th line, and my 6th line is looking for integrity. My 6th line is seeking for the hard truth, for the core. And I met my guide, and it was 9 months of me training with him. Every time I felt like I'm drowning, I would write him SOS. We would book a session. I would do a session when he just said, this is mind, this is body, this is mind, this is body. During 9 months, all I had is body and mind. Of course, I had the knowledge in online courses, but it did not matter. He told me, Bar, it does not matter what you know or don't know. It's only the way you are, and if you are in the frequency of your body. And for 9 months, I felt like, no, I need to know my PHS, I need to know this line, I need to know this. Every time I would speak to him like this, he would look kind of, hear me talking, and he said, Bart, this is mind, And I learned that there is a frequency of body and mind, and this is the basics, and this is it. Upon it, I can, philosophy, study, as you say, experiment, but this is the basic. And then I did his training for becoming an LYD guide. So because I wanted, again, everything organized as in folders, I didn't have no energy to go around and check. It's me as a second line. And guys, speaking about money and energy, I paid for it, and I feel like it was worth every penny. Because instead of getting an information from that and misinterpreting it, and instead of that and not sure, I just got all of it. I got personal attention. I get all the information organized. I love the frequency of that guy. I admire my own teacher. And I felt like, okay, now I can start because the foundation is laid out for me. And I trust that person, because for me, studying human design is about trust. Your body needs to trust the person. It's like you are on a phone with somebody, and you need to feel trust is something that you feel in your body. Although someone might appear very, convenient or very, attracting or clever, but the body needs to feel safe. And with the open spleen, both of us, undefined and open, it's about safety, physical safety, because entering into that journey for me was like, I know it's scary. I felt like, oh, Bar, this is a one-way street. You're not going to come back alive from that journey. And I didn't. I went to the other side of the tunnel, completely different person. And I think me and you, we talked about it. And even now, it's the frequency. And it's meeting the person. Even like meeting you and feeling you every time we meet and we talk. I feel it's really not about the knowledge of, it's actually meeting you as a 1-3 manifestor, hearing your voice. I remember I was watching your videos back then. I felt the enthusiasm. I felt the ego. I felt the sharpness. I didn't need to know anything mental. I just needed to feel. And me as an abstract person, emotional person, this is how I learn the best. I eat the person. I eat the frequency of the person. And this is something the books cannot give. Comments cannot give this, because it's not a living person. You cannot hear expression. You cannot see movements of the body. You cannot hear the voice. I love books. They're great. Audios are great. A living person is actually taking you and telling you what is relevant for you right now. It's magical, isn't it?
I would say yes. I love that what you're saying, because here's the thing. Everyone has to go on their own journey. For me, it was really interesting because I didn't realize this, but what I did almost immediately was build a tribe of people. and I started to have contact with others. And we, of course, and this is all mind. What I think is, first off, the human design system itself is for the mind. Ross says this. I mean, it does change the way that you interact with, interpret, feel in your body, but it all starts with the mind, because mind is how we connect with one another. That's what outer authority is. We connect with one another, mind to mind. And then eventually, as we get a deeper relationship, and you as a 6'2", that's another trip. When I look at 6'2s, all the ones I've spoken to, no matter what type, and they can't explain in real depth or detail how they got there. So I wouldn't expect you to write a book necessarily on like how to do this. You might talk about your experiences, because you may be able to do that. But for me as a 1-3, it was really important for me to have the foundation. And I'll be honest with you, what you said is perfectly spot on. But what I was finding is I went into all of these online communities to find, to talk with human design people. And I know your teacher, and, it's really interesting. I loved his content, but I wasn't necessarily attracted to go in that direction. So respect and love his content, seriously. And then maybe one day, who knows? But what was happening was I was running into people and I wasn't trusting them. Something in me. Now, see, here's the thing. I was early in my journey. I can't say if my authority was saying no or my mind was saying no, but whatever it was a no. And I think kind of more in retrospect now, from where I am standing now, I think I understand why I didn't trust them. And you want me to tell you my secret?
Yeah, sure.
Woo, crazy money line lady over here. I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I saw them and I didn't see that they had a lot of money. This is a form of discrimination on my behalf. And now that I understand my design a little bit more and where all of my placements are and what they really mean to me in the way I operate, I actually see that in some ways that was in some ways correct, because there's a lot of people out here who don't have a good relationship with money. Now, one of the things that you mentioned that I love, though, is that when you spend money, you buy back time. When you spend money buying back time is a commodity that can't be replaced. We have a number of years or days or hours that we'll be on this planet, and that's it. So when you choose to pay a teacher or a mentor or someone that you trust will move you from point A to point B, you compress time. And that's the value of getting education. And that's the value of working with a mentor. And that's the value of working with a coach. And so at the time, I didn't see any coaches, mentors, or teachers that I was gravitating to. And it wasn't because of money. It's really interesting because at the time, I had a crap ton of money. I had money all over the place. I was, for me, it was nothing to buy, like I said, $150, $200 books. Like I'm spending textbook money out here to get the text. I want the information. I'm the 1-3. I want that information for myself. And I just didn't see anyone. Now, what I've later come to realize is that many of the people who are the most knowledgeable about human design are also the most invisible. They are hard to find. And I find that to be, it's kind of sad. It actually doesn't serve anyone for these people to be kind of invisible, but they are. They're hard to reach. You can't find them. And it's like this kind of secretive thing versus people who will, make themselves available to pass on the knowledge and to pass on like what you're discussing, the frequency. Because once someone has really begun to shift into alignment with their design, and when that click happens, I always talk about it, it's like, the mind wants to go one way, the body wants to go other way, but once you get them tethered properly, you go up. And there's an ascension that happens. There's this elevation. That's what when we talk about the frequency, that's the harmony that you're feeling from within a person. And these people are hidden, and makes it, it makes no sense to me. But that was my experience. And even still now, like I look around and I see a lot of new people who are not, they have good marketing skills. They can sell, they can tell you information, but they're not going to transmit that frequency to you. They're not going to get you, really closer to the mark of being aligned with your design. What they're going to do is they're going to sell you a product and make your mind busy, which, the mind becoming overwhelmed is a pathway to alignment, but that's not for everybody. Like a 6'2", I would never expect you to go the pathway of mental exhaustion. because, because it's not, it would be difficult. You'd have to force it so hard and it would be unsustainable.
Yeah. Well, for me, what is sad is that people come to me and said, I did 3-5 readings and I got so overwhelmed, and then I back up, or I'm so confused that I just didn't reach out to that knowledge again, or I don't want to pay again. And for me, it's really sad because I had the opposite experience. I was like, I got a reading, I just wanted another one to refine, and then I was climbing the stairs, and then I wanted another session every time I fell. So I was like, oh, really? This is so sad, because my experience is the opposite. I found somebody that was next to me until I'm ready to fly on my own. So for me, if a human design initiation session or reading, whatever you call it, is not bringing you up, more excited, more enthusiastic, more like brave, more feeling like your mind is exploding and your body is like, this is cool, then it's not the right thing. And I guess you also teaching and also providing sessions, and you probably can sense, of course, manifestor, the impact. What is impacting and what is not? Can you share about like your experience?
Yeah.
What did you notice like works for people and your impact?
Yeah. Oh, let me tell you. So here's one of the things, even though after, so what I do is I do readings. I don't do sessions anymore. And I don't call it a reading. I do an impact session because I think that for me, just going step by step through the chart, at this point, a computer should be doing that. I know. And I know that's not about the transmission of frequency, but to a certain degree, it is like, you prime someone. It's like priming them so that they can receive the next initiation level. And that's something that we can see from ancient times, but also in more recent times. You get primed and then you're ready to receive. If you're gonna paint the wall, you're gonna prime it first and then put the real paint on. But you gotta put something down first. And that's to me what a reading is. But when I do like an impact session, one of the things I stopped doing was actually having a person's chart up when I talk to them. Because let me tell you, so I told you time is one of the most, valuable commodities. But you know what your second most valuable commodity is? Attention. Attention is literally the road to deconditioning. And if you can't marshal your attention, then you can't decondition. I don't believe it. If you're not watching the movie's playing and you have this is what we're saying. We want to watch the movie. It means attention. So when I do my impact sessions, I do not display the chart because it's not important. I'm telling them a story. There's only one language processor in your brain. There's the thing. We are all unique and individual, but on a very basic level, we all have this body that's called a human body, and they are literally, there's so many similarities in them. We have a lot of generalizations we can make. Now, some people will be outliers, but there's certain things that are relatively the same amongst everyone. One of them is that you only have one language processor in your brain, meaning that if I'm speaking to you and you're also reading something, you can only do one. So that I'm competing for your attention during this impact session. is a problem, especially as me as a manifester, because you know I don't want to say it twice. I don't want to say things twice. I'm recording it, and I'm going to send you a recording, but I'm not wanting to repeat myself. So, once I really, had to, it's like letting go of the tool to discuss what information is coming from the tool, and then giving them a recording and the chart that they can use later. Now, that's up to them if they want to bring their attention back to the reading, the session they had, and back to the chart. They always have the option to do that. But I stopped doing that. So that was one of the things, because the human design system is complex, overwhelming, visually overstimulating in some ways. Now, the visual stimulation is on purpose. So one of the things I recommend people do is get a copy of your chart and hang it somewhere visible, just so you see it, just in your periphery, just walking by, you see it, because there's a reminder, and there's a lot of this information and experience that can get anchored to the visual of your chart. If you think about, like, McDonald's is everywhere in the world, right? So even though I haven't eaten McDonald's in a long time, but like McDonald's is everywhere. And there are memories, experiences, sensations, and everything anchored to just the logo. If I show the logo of McDonald's to someone in a remote place, they'll know what it is. You might want to try to program yourself or experience that with your own chart. It's a logo, it's you, and it's your life and your experiences, and you can anchor things to it in a multitude of ways, and it's not something you have to do on purpose. The only on purpose thing you have to do is make it visible. If you make it visible, things will start to make sense. I look at my chart a lot. I don't look at other people's charts a lot. I look at mine an extraordinary amount, because in the end, I'm trying to align with me. This is what I'm doing. So what I would say is, during the sessions, not focusing on technical language, because if I'm going to teach you human design, I'll open up a human design school. But if you're trying to figure out how to align your life, then we're going to talk about your life. So we talk about, I take what's in the chart information wise. One of the things I also do that I will not leave behind is I do say some of the, the straight up, rave I Ching, what I call them, the keynotes, partially because there is some vibratory information in those keynotes, I believe. But then I also go on to help that person to tie that to their actual life experiences, because I'm of a mind that you're never not living your design. You're always living your design. You're just living potentially, a shadow version, an inverted version, the detrimental version, but these traits, and they're always there. And then some of them we are suppressing, and we're making ourselves be in denial, but they have not gone because they're part of how you were built. Yeah. So.
Oh my God. That was a strong 1-3 cross of tension impact, because I felt like my brain is like, woohoo, what's going on? What's going on? I'm amazed by the differences that we all have to transmit the same thing. And I'm so glad we are having this conversation, because you went through that journey, you did your investigation, you tried what worked for you, what doesn't work for you, and you find your own particular way to deliver your impact in a way that you feel complete with. And this is exactly the aim of that conversation, is to show the varieties of options for human design, so you guys, people hearing it, will tune into what works for you, because maybe Adrienne's way just works for you. And when I say works, it means that you can start to feel your body, that this kind of chatting box start to receive a different place in your life. Or coming to me, it's a different approach, more emotional, more, whatever my life experience says. kind of tuning into the frequency of who you are and seeing what's relevant. I love it because there is no one way. It's like we have different ways of studies, and hearing you and getting that impact of this is my particular way and I want to tune into people. It's such an investigator approach to impact. I'm going to touch you and I'm going to hear you in the way is right for me, no matter what other people do. And I kind of encourage you guys hearing this conversation, find your person. Find the person, because it's gonna take you a while. So don't give up. If it was not the first or the second or the third, maybe it will be the fourth until it clicks. Because when it clicks, like I guess you had some mentors or advices during the years. You don't have to stick to the same one. And it did something, like you woke up in the morning a different person. This is the gift of exchange. You give and you receive, and something is happening. As you say, a community and exchange. It's so beautiful that we have different ways of doing that. There is not only one way to transmit human design. And if something is telling you this is awkward, it's not clicking in, so respect it. Yeah, respect it. It doesn't have to click in. I had my human design initiation or reading. I did 3 of them with the same person. After 3 times, I felt like, I don't know, it was a professional person. It was accurate. Everything was in place, But the body was kind of, it's not clicking. I don't know why. It's like you wear something and it's not exactly what you're supposed to wear today. It's that simple. You drink your coffee and you feel like something is missing here, a bit of milk or sugar or whatever. You just know it. And then when I met my guy, it was like, no doubt. In the minute, I felt like it's enough. I just said goodbye. I had enough. Like I was drinking enough from that bottle of wisdom. And thank you, Master. And I go on. Yeah. Wow. We have so many. I think human design is showing us that it's not about the institutes, that each person is an institute. And you go to the University of Life, you go to that teacher for any amount you want. And this is the beauty of being a manifestor, that you come in and you go. But everybody can do that. You don't have to be a manifestor to say, be my teacher. Like, teach me. And when it's enough, I'm gone. We don't owe anything. It's just that old cross of planning way of being. Like, you have to go 1, 2, 3. You cannot mix. You cannot that. You have to commit. Only perfect. Do what you want. Your body knows that. Yeah. Make the test. So nice to make a test and taste other people. But when I say test, you can actually feel it from the post you read, from a video you hear, from a 20 minutes talk with the person. It's so intuitive, right?
Yeah, it doesn't require, it's not like you don't have to have a 20 question interview list and make it a big investigation. You're right. I mean, to a certain degree, and that was kind of what happened with me. So eventually during my path of learning more and more about human design and starting to, for me, it was going after the path of understanding, which now I look back and I'm like, it's completely ridiculous. But I'm a 1-3, like literally that's my game. And it's fun. I don't regret any parts of it, but I ran into people who were experts, people who have been doing this for a very long time, and they poured into me. Many of them, they were paid sessions. So it wasn't that I never paid anyone. Oh, I did. And in whatever way was right for them. I mean, for some people, I paid them in credibility, which is really strange. I didn't realize this, but you as well. We're getting reputations, man. We're credible people. People recognize that we have put in some kind of work because the content that you produce and how you show up is, saying, hey, this person has integrity around this human design stuff. So like I've had all manner of exchanges with people, even exchanging services, like, hey, you give me this kind of thing and I'll do this other thing for you. And it's been fantastic because it has sharpened the way that I was able to experiment. And when I say the way I was able to experiment, I'm acting as if my experiment is somehow in my control. It's not. But I became a much better observer of what was happening in my life. Mm-hmm. And again, that's back to, we talked about time, but attention is so valuable. And to be able to bring attention to what I was doing, and then to be able to let go of certain behaviors or activities, behaviors, things that I was doing that was just reprogramming me to stay in a loop where I stay unconscious, right? So there's things I was doing in a repetitious loop. For instance, I'm a manifester, just as you are, no sacral. And I came up with the idea, and I think I might have spoken to you about it before, but the anti-strategy, like we need to get out of the responding game. What does that really mean for us? It means that things outside of us not moving us all the time. And you can reflect on that on so many different levels of life, like in business, is my phone ringing all the time? Do I have my notifications on all the time? Because that to me is going to interrupt my process. But then I have to also do it with the people around me. And this is, informing. Informing for me, so much of it, like 80% of it now doesn't even happen out of my mouth. A lot of my informing is, I see myself as the architect of my environment oftentimes. So, this is not a reality, right? We know all this is chaos. But when it comes down to the people in my life, they know how I am. And the way I show up is a form of informing, right? So now it's like, well, one of the things is there's only, I only have one family member outside of my house that has my actual phone number. They can't even call me. As a matter of fact, I mean, it's really interesting. My sister, she's my go-between. She's a generator. She actually has her personality son is like the gate of family, like, so it's perfect. So she tells me what's going on with the family. No one has to contact me directly. Some people might feel weird about that. They're like, oh, I'm feeling on the outside. I'm feeling like I'm in my proper place. Nobody's interrupting me. And I have a pathway in. So in a lot of ways, I have informed my relationship with my family. And it has given me peace. It's amazing. I love it, Wow. Yeah, it's amazing.
What a journey.
Yeah. Wow. And that wasn't something I structured, but I just started to really prioritize peace, to actually come into contact with the concept of peace. What is peace? Like, I had to go through this journey of, feeling peace, understanding peace, recognizing peace, and understanding it's not stillness, even though I can be at peace when I am still. That's right for me. But there's some people who won't be peaceful when they're still. So when someone says, oh, manifestors should have peace, people get images because we've had concepts. All those concepts start to get blown away. That's the mind. Concepts are put there through media you consumed, what your culture told you, all of this other stuff. When the reality is you have to come to terms with your own version of peace. So yeah, peace looks different for everybody. And for me to have it in here allows me to radiate it out. And to experience it around me.
Wow. So beautiful. So beautiful. So maybe we wrap it up with thank you. We wrap it up with practical, tools, like just try it out. And I would start with follow, contact, reach people that resonate. It's, I have the 22 gate is the gate of the listener in the solar plexus, and Some people, I really like their voice. I like how they look. I feel like if it was someone in a party, I would just kind of get close to them. And this is for me how it should feel. Not like for me, yeah, an admiration of like, oh, this is the best. Someone that you feel close to, it makes you feel warm and safe. Because eventually, when we go to a internal transformation, it's scary and it's mind blowing, and all your life is going to change through human design. So someone needs the person that you will choose to be your guide or to initiate you or to support you should feel like someone close that you can trust, that you can say, oh my God, I hate myself right now, or I took this decision from the mind and I don't know what to do. And you want to feel held, and loved as you are, and make fun of what is happening. Feel at home. So who is making you feel at home? So this is the first one. And the second one is try it out. And if something doesn't work, go on. Do not hold back. If you feel like this voice in your head, like human design is so cool, I know there is something for me, as I don't know what it is, like it's kind of whisper, believe that whisper until you find someone that actually giving you what you need. Yeah. I'm not in a, for example, emotional, intimate relationship with a man right now, but there is a voice in me who knows that it will happen. So I'm not giving up of like, okay, it will happen. I'm slowly going towards that thing. But if I would not believe that it's possible, then it most probably will not be possible. Yeah. Just trial and error, trying things out. Yeah. Don't give up.
That's what the third line of 3 is about. It's the trial and error. It's the experiment. It also rules business, but we'll have that for another conversation.
Yeah.
Because I have, oh boy, practical. I would say you don't have to compare yourself to anyone else. So your journey will be different. If you have a one line and it's one of those things that you would like to do, books are awesome. There are some really good ones out there, but I really mostly recommend the one from IHDS. Honestly, the Definitive Guide to Human Design is a great place to start for anybody who really feels like they have to approach it through a book. It also is a good book because it's good for reference. It has a lot of information that's built right in. So one of those books I bought for $150 is actually just an index in this book, which you get for $50. So, as time went on, things actually got more, I would say, information got cheaper. I will say that there's a difference between information and transformation. And I think that was what, one of the things that you were really making a point of. Books are good for information. The internet is good for information. What you're going to find out on, most free content anywhere, if the content is actually good and accurate, you're going to get information. Working with someone is where you start to actually experience profound transformation.
Wow.
And transformation, yeah, and transformation is one of those things that typically is going to cost. That's just it, because transformation compresses time between your beginning and your destination. And we know that life there is no destination. But for me, getting to the point where I am now, where my energy is so much more clean, and it's contagious. So speaking of I don't know, we're supposed to be wrapping it up and I'm so sorry, but just one quick story. Intimate relationships. I started an intimate relationship 2 years ago with a manifesting generator who had not heard of human design before me. So you can guess this person is just as not self as is completely possible. The thing about it is, when you step into someone's presence who is that way, and you've gotten really solid in yourself, that first, that feeling of running away from life, from relationships, from anything that is so-called unpleasant, it starts to change. There's a modification. I never thought I would be this way because I was so happily single all through my younger years. And I loved being able to make all my decisions and be alone and all that stuff. But what I found was I was operating differently. And even though he was all over the place, it didn't matter because I was centered. And so he could do all of that and I'd still be standing there just being me. And he was looking like, what is happening here? And it was freaking him out. And I was like, listen, I did explain some human design to him. He's not ever going to be the kind of person that wants to study it. He's a 6'3". He is experiencing it. So it's really interesting. I just dropped something into his awareness and I watch it bloom and see it become something even beyond what I thought that seed would bloom into. I'm like, oh, I'll plant this seed. I planted the seed of financial responsibility. This man is making super duper moves now. And I'm just looking at him like in amazement at this point. So what I will say is that it's so valuable to get yourself to an aligned place because it actually impacts your immediate environment, the people that you're around, your community, and then it flows out and out and out. So when we have people who are in alignment because they didn't go the route of frustration, I'll be honest with you, if I had to do it all over again, well, I'd probably do a lot of the self-teaching because I do like what I did, but I would have actually increased the number of people that I had interacted with. And I really would have gone to your teacher because I love him. I love him. And who knows, maybe I'm going to call him up. I need to talk to him because I love his vibe. And I don't know, because I can't read, I can't change the past. The past is done. But I would say, again, just compressing time and then marshaling your attention. Because when you work with someone like a coach, or like I don't know if you're a coach, what did he call himself? He's almost like a martial arts master in my mind.
Definitely.
Jedi training. That's
it.
Jedi training. When you go to someone that is their purpose and that's what they're there for, it creates a focal point for your transformation.
Yeah.
And that's always it just compresses time and makes it so much easier. So I'm definitely a fan of that.
Beautiful. Once again, thank you. Yes, thank you.
So good to be here with you, Bar. Thank you.
Thank you.